I think Mission Impossible 2 is a great movie, and I can't really understand the detractors. From start to finish, it's a lot of fun, and there's an undeniable chemistry between Thandie Newton and Tom Cruise. I think Thandie Newton is great in this movie. It's one of her breakout performances, especially in American films. She is more than just a pretty face. She does actually impact the plot, and she makes her own choices. She is a very intelligent character. She is a multi-dimensional sort of Bond girl, but she's a little bit more than that. There's so much more of a reliance on the performances and the acting, I thought, in this film, and a pretty good script by Robert Towne, who's, pretty much the greatest scriptwriter out there that ever lived. He also contributed to the first Mission Impossible film. John Woo is, of course, a great director. This is one of his American films. His other great American film is Face Off, I think. Another contentious film, but definitely one of the great action movies. You don't really get into the insane stunts and explosives and his trademark, very elaborate shootout scenes until about two-thirds of the way through the movie. And by that time, I was already hooked, and I wanted to see how it was going to end. Now, you can criticize certain aspects of the plot, but I think it's a compelling story. The villain, Sean, he's pretty one-dimensional. But there are great cameos by Ving Rhames, who is in every single film. Anthony Hopkins, he's uncredited as the Mission Impossible leader, which I think is a good choice because in the first film, John Voight, just his presence alone was almost a dead giveaway that he was going to be the main villain. For him to die in the very beginning of the movie was a little predictable. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked it more than the first film, with all due respect to Brian De Palma. I definitely think that Mission Impossible 2 is tied with the third one as the best film of the original three. You could argue that the latest three movies are the best in the whole series. They seem to have gotten better as they've gone along. And really, Mission Impossible is a great rival to James Bond, at least in terms of an action series. It's a much better action series. And I'm not saying that Tom Cruise is as cool as Sean Connery, but he certainly does his own stunts, and they are phenomenal and death-defying, and Tom is one of the great movie stars. But to hate on Mission Impossible 2, I simply don't see it. Maybe I'm just a contrarian, but I think it's a great movie, and I don't really care what anyone else thinks if they're going to just shut it down for being bombastic. I think it's a great movie that relies so much more on the chemistry and the performances than most action movies do.